Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Anime Ramble. Today I have for you Kaiju number 8, chapter 33, and let me just tell you off rip, each chapter just keeps getting better and better every single week, or whenever we get this. It feels like we waited like 2-3 weeks to get this chapter, but finally we see what has happened, or what is becoming to happen, of KAFKA after everything that happened in chapter 32 with him revealing his identity and the fact that he is Kaiju number 8 being taken into custody. And we really didn't get to see anything after that at the end of chapter 32, but chapter 33 we open up very powerfully because we get to see what is actually becoming of KAFKA in this chapter. And it starts off with the director of the Defense Force entire base, right? The main HQ, at least we think it's the main HQ, but the director of the Defense Force base is Iso Shinomaya. Okay, he's the director of all the Defense Force base, and yes, he is the father of Kikoru Shinomaya, our Kikoru. And basically what we see from him and everybody else, the top ranking generals or the top ranking officers of the Defense Force base, they're sitting around and doing exactly what we had predicted that they were going to do at the end of chapter 32. They're trying to figure out what they want to do with KAFKA in this chapter, right? They're talking about just disposing of him altogether. He is a Dai Kaiju. He has a fortitude of 9.8. We just need to get rid of him. But then they're like, no, if he's a Daikaiju, then we need to make weapons and armor out of him in order to, get the most from him, because, that's what they do. They take kaijus and they make weapons and armor from them. I think the most interesting part that we actually found out at the beginning of this chapter is that there is another country being involved, right? Right now they're in Japan, but this is the first that we've really heard of other countries being involved in the Kaiju number 8 universe. So they talked about a certain country. They don't name them, but they talked about a country that's been experimenting with kaiju tissue to human transplantation. Okay, so they talked about disposing of him and using him as a weapon. They even threw out the idea of using him as a bioweapon, so either force compliance or something we see with Kuma from One Piece in regards to completely taking over his brain and literally controlling him. But honestly, that's a topic for another video, because what you have is actually Shinomaya's father coming out and saying that's a topic for another day. The only thing that we really need to focus on right now is just getting him to the main HQ. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to solve everything else later. So that's pretty much where the chapter really picks up from, and now we're flashing back to KAFKA and Captain Mina and Vice Captain Hoshina, and we're about to see everything that's gone down with regard to that and how they're actually going to handle him now that they have to bring him to the main HQ. But I do have to mention this because there was reports of a full media blackout for anything that has to do with Kaiju number 8, just like what they did with information in the media about Kaiju number 9 and everything to do with that. I will say there is something that strikes me as odd about this chapter, if I'm being honest, and that's with the full media blackout that they have reported, right? They're all sitting around talking about this. There was a full media blackout for anything and everything that had to deal with Kaiju number 8. We learned that this is also the case for what they did with Kaiju number 9. The odd part about this is that there is no mention of Kaiju number 10 anywhere amongst the top ranking officers and the director general of the Defense Force base. And given the fact that Kaiju number 10 was the main antagonist for the raid on Tachikawa base, it seems odd that they would report KAFKA being Kaiju number 8 but not mention the main bad guy who brought the Wyvern army there. There is no mention of him at all. So I still don't know if he's alive or dead, okay? We didn't see him. They didn't mention him at all. I have no idea what's going on with that regard. But let's move forward with the chapter, because now pick up on page 6, and this is KAFKA in his holding cell, right? He's strapped down to the chair, guards all around him. The vice captain and the staff are monitoring his vital signs. They say that he has no hostility in him. He's not going to transform. He's just chilling, and he's been like this for 24 hours now. Captain Mina walks in and tells him that he's about to be transported to the main HQ. KAFKA, he tries to talk with her, right? He calls out to her, but then he stops himself because he was like, yeah, I've been lying to her this entire time. And this is really just accountability and just the big brain moves of KAFKA. He realizes that if he talks with Captain Mina, she's more than likely gonna catch all the hell coming down from the main HQ. How on earth did you allow a Daikaiju to infiltrate your ranks? That speaks more about her as a captain and the Vice Captain Hoshina than it does about KAFKA. Even though KAFKA is still gonna catch hell, Captain, this is gonna fall heavily on her because this is her unit. He thinks about that. He thinks about Ichikawa. He thinks about Shinomaya, Kikoru. He thinks about everybody. And he was like, I've been lying to them this entire time. We talked about this last chapter. If you haven't watched chapter 32, my review, go for it, because I pretty much called most, if not all of this, right? KAFKA can't talk to them, and they're not talking to him as he's being escorted out of the facility into the transport truck. But just as he's being escorted out to the transport truck, he sees Ichikawa, he sees Shinomaya, he sees everybody. right? And they all just have their heads down. They're not saying anything. They're not looking at him in the eye. He says he can't look at them in the eye because he doesn't want to bring that onto them. But just as he's getting into the back of the truck, what happens, right? Our boy, for real, my favorite character, Ichikawa, he's like, yo, I have faith that you're coming back. And just as that happens, the door closes and, Kafka's like, what? And I don't think he really heard him, or he was just so surprised that he said something in that regard, because at this point, Kafka thinks everybody hates him for what he did and the fact that he's a kaiju. Captain Mina, after the door closes, she was like, you know what, he's going to get 50 push-ups for that. I don't know why 50 push-ups seems like a really hard task, but that is not a punishment at all. But she's really not trying to make this become a punishment, right? She has to do it, right? Out of obligation, the fact that she is a captain, which is probably why she gives such lighthearted punishments, even for Kafka whenever he calls her by her first name instead of by captain. It's like 25 push-ups, but this is the dope part of the chapter. As the door closes, Captain Mina looks at Kafka and was like, none of us think that you're a threat. We have video surveillance, we have written statements, and we have written reports for everything that you did in your human form as a part of the defense force, even before becoming Kaiju number 8 and saving the entire base. They're going to do everything in their power to try to sway the director general and his entire office staff that you are not a threat. And this brings Kafka to tears. I was so fucking shocked because I really thought they were going to dislike him, especially the vice captain. For her to say, and for us to find out that nobody at Defense Force Base 3 thinks of him as a threat, I really find that hard to believe with just how hard the vice captain was going to prove that Kafka was hiding something. But obviously all of that can be dissipated. If you save my life from that type of bomb, I wouldn't think of you as a threat either. It's just very fast for everything to be going, especially for the vice captain. But I think there might be a little bit more that we're not finding out about the vice captain. I think he still suspects him. I doubt everybody 100% does not view him as a threat, because you're a kaiju, right? They assume he's a human that became a kaiju, but it's entirely possible he might have been a kaiju that became a human. So I think that it's going by a little bit too quickly just to say he's good just because he saved everybody from a blast. Keep in mind that he would have been in that blast too, so it could be a situation, if you're really thinking about it, oh well, he did it just to save his own skin, right? He didn't do it out of the genuineness of saving everybody. He knew he was going to be caught in the blast, so he had no choice but to react. That's a little thought process that I've had regarding this entire thing. We don't actually get to see them. Well, actually we do. We do get to see them arrive at the Defense Force base. But before I get to that, as Mina is explaining everything to Kafka, Kafka just interrupts her. It was like, yo, do I still have a chance to be by your side? And she was like, sure, I'll be waiting. This manga, for a shonen, let's just talk about this for a shonen, this is a lot. This is a lot for a shonen, because they really don't just come out the box and be like, yeah, you can be with me, or yeah, I want to be with you. It's a lot of give and take, push and pull, a lot of, innuendos being thrown around. But hey, this is grown man manga, just being honest with you. He's a grown man. He's at like 33, she's like 27. These are grown people handling grown people business. I'm about to die. Can I still be with you? Because if I can, I might just bust out this bitch, and I can do it if I can be with you. But I'm obviously joking around at this point. The final part of this chapter is them pulling up to the Defense Force base, and Kafka being locked away and having being sealed away in the bulkhead, but we don't really know which one, right? It says that bulkhead 23 to 31 are sealed. So does that mean that bulkhead 0 to 22 are open? You see what I'm saying? Like, or is he locked behind 8 bulkhead seals? That's a lot, but given he is the strongest at 9.8, I can understand why. If that's not the case and he's not sealed behind 8 bulkheads, do they have Daikaijus 1 through 7 in there as well? Because Kafka is number 8. We have not seen any kaiju 7 to 1 or 7 to 0, however they want to number it. Right? We haven't seen those. For him to be in a group at the main HQ sealed behind bulkheads 23 to 31, that's 8 bulkheads that are sealed. What is behind the other 7, or is he just really under maximum security behind 8 different seals at the main HQ? So that's the chapter, ladies and gentlemen. That is all I have for you today. If you made it to the end, thank you. If you're a new, go post ultra and smash that subscribe button. It lets me know you rock with the content that I put out on this channel. Like the video if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video. Comment on the video your thoughts about what you think is going to happen with this chapter, how you think they're going to deal with Kafka, if they're going to dispose of him. I'm still under the impression they're going to make weapons out of him. If not for everybody, they're going to make a weapon for him while he's in his human form, if they do plan to use him. I don't see them doing a forced compliance thing, what we saw with Kuma. I think they're going to be able to talk about it. Then again, this is Shinomiya's father, Iso. And from the flashbacks that we saw from Kikoru at the beginning of the manga, he doesn't seem like a reasonable person, though he does in this chapter seem to be taking a reasonable approach to dealing with Kafka. He didn't just outright say, yo, kill him. He sees value in at least Kaiju number 8. I can't say he sees value in KAFKA, but we're gonna see in the next chapter how he's gonna deal with it. Hopefully it comes fast. Subscribe if you're brand new, and like always, until next time, I'm out.
My God.
Watch out, this nigga come around here. I'm about to. He killed you? Damn, he killed me too.
Let's go home.
I seen that shit going down. Damn, I'm on some bullshit.
Your trophy
Taking
system has
C.
been destroyed.
Losing A. Charlie locked down. We lost
We done
Alpha.
lost B.
Securing Bravo.
Fuck y'all niggas, man. Yeah. Y'all ran to the devil, nigga. And he said, oh shit. My bad, bro. They was on top of you. They was coming down on top. I was trying to kill them, nigga.
Bravo secure.
I'm like Bin Laden, them, bro. I gotta sacrifice my own man sometime.
Securing Alpha.
Oh my God.
Yo, GG, bro. Y'all was putting up a
No. My bad, bro. You was a sacrifice. My bad, bro.
He killed his teammate to get the kill.
Hey, I'm like Bin Laden, bro. You gotta do what you gotta do.